For more than 100 years, one argument has shaken nations, fueled wars, collapsed empires, and divided humanity into opposing camps. It wasn't fought only with weapons, it was fought with ideas. Capitalism versus socialism. And here's the uncomfortable truth almost no one tells you. Neither system ever worked the way it promised. This debate didn't just shape economies, it shaped revolutions, class struggles, financial crises, and global power. Behind every patriotic speech, every worker protest, every recession, and every proxy war, this ideological clash quietly rewrote the rules of the world. Yet there's a secret hidden beneath all the slogans and textbooks. When reality applied pressure, war, famine, inflation, collapse, both systems cracked. This is where money, power, and history collide, and nothing is as simple as it looks. Long before anyone spoke of capitalism or socialism, the world didn't run on systems. It ran on survival. For most of human history, monarchs ruled by divine right. Landlords owned nearly everything. Peasants worked endlessly just to avoid starvation. Wealth came from land, labor, and conquest. Progress crawled forward at a glacial pace. Life was a zero-sum game. If someone rose, someone else had to fall. The idea that ordinary people could grow wealthy through trade or innovation would have sounded absurd. Then everything changed. The Industrial Revolution ripped the world open. In late 18th century Britain, coal, iron, capital, and ambition collided. Machines replaced muscle, factories replaced workshops, and a new force emerged: private capital. For the first time in history, individuals could invest, take risks, and own enterprises on a scale once reserved for kings. Productivity exploded, wealth multiplied. But so did suffering. Some wages rose, while others sank deeper into misery. Inequality widened faster than any society had ever seen. Cities choked on pollution, children labored for endless hours, slums became breeding grounds for disease. Yet despite its brutality, one fact was undeniable. Capitalism produced more goods, more wealth, and more speed than the world had ever known. And that explosion gave birth to socialism, not as a utopian fantasy, but as a reaction to industrial cruelty. Thinkers like Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels looked at factory floors soaked in sweat and blood and concluded the system itself was the crime. They believed capitalist profit was stolen labor disguised as opportunity. Their solution was simple in theory. If workers owned the factories together, if profits were shared, if production served human needs instead of private gain, then society could finally be fair. No exploitation, no boom and bust cycles, just rational planning and equal dignity. To millions crushed beneath early capitalism, it sounded like justice. But theory collapses when it meets reality. The first real test of socialism didn't happen in classrooms. It happened in the ruins of an empire. After the Russian Revolution, Lenin inherited a nation that was starving, illiterate, and shattered. The old elite was gone, and suddenly 150 million people needed an entirely new system. The Soviet model nationalized land, factories, banks, and resources. Bureaucrats set prices. Production quotas replaced profit. Private business disappeared. On paper, it promised efficiency and equality. In reality, it delivered chaos. Without market prices, planners had no idea what people actually needed. Without competition, innovation died. Without personal reward, effort collapsed. Shortages became normal. Waiting in line became a way of life. Agriculture, the backbone of the economy, descended into famine. Eventually, even Lenin retreated. allowing limited private trade just to keep the country alive. And yet socialism refused to die, because capitalism wasn't looking heroic either. By the early 20th century, capitalism had generated immense wealth and extreme instability. Speculation ran wild. Monopolies dominated industries. The rich lived like royalty, while millions barely survived. Then came 1929. The stock market collapsed. Banks failed. Unemployment exploded. Entire financial systems disintegrated. The Great Depression wasn't a downturn. It was an economic heart attack. To many, capitalism didn't just look flawed. It looked terminal. By the 1930s, the world faced a brutal realization. Socialism promised equality, but delivered scarcity. Capitalism promised prosperity, but delivered collapse. Then war changed everything. World War II forced every major economy into a stress test. The Soviet Union mobilized its population with terrifying speed. Total state control allowed instant redirection of resources. At the same time, capitalist nations like the United States transformed into industrial supermachines, powered by private innovation and national coordination. After the war, ideology mattered less than results. GDP, infrastructure, living standards. From 1945 onward, the world became a laboratory. Central planning versus regulated capitalism. State control versus market incentives. Not in theory, but in real human lives. Early on, the Soviet Union achieved rapid industrial growth. Literacy expanded. Housing increased. Military power surged. But beneath the surface, cracks spread. Factories met quotas by producing useless goods. Farms delivered rotten harvests. Innovation stagnated. By the 1970s, the USSR lagged decades behind in consumer technology. A nation that could build rockets couldn't build decent refrigerators. Capitalism, meanwhile, adapted. Governments added regulation, social security, unemployment insurance, antitrust laws, and public health care systems. Capitalism didn't become fair, but it became survivable. That flexibility became its greatest strength. By the 1980s, the gap was undeniable. Western living standards soared. The Soviet economy stalled. The Cold War wasn't won by speeches or missiles. It was won by performance. When the Berlin Wall fell, the Soviet system collapsed under empty shelves, broken incentives, and economic exhaustion. A system built to erase inequality had created new elites. A system meant to control chaos collapsed under rigid planning, but capitalism's victory was short-lived. By the late 20th century, capitalism evolved again. Finance exploded. Global supply chains spanned continents. Debt and speculation replaced production. Inequality surged back to Gilded Age levels. Then came 2008, proof that capitalism's instability never vanished. It only changed its mask. Socialism returned too, softer, modernized, nostalgic. Wealth taxes, universal health care, free education, stronger unions. Younger generations, crushed by housing costs and stagnant wages, began asking hard questions. But this time, something was different. Almost no one wanted pure capitalism or pure socialism. Look at Scandinavia. Free markets, private firms, global corporations, combined with high taxes and strong social safety nets. Capitalism with guardrails. Look at the United States, innovation powerhouse, financial giant. But also extreme inequality, decaying infrastructure, and a shrinking middle class. Look at China, an authoritarian, state-directed capitalist system. Markets allowed to grow, but only when they served national goals. Even there, debt, housing bubbles, and demographic decline loom. Step back, and the truth becomes obvious. Every major economy today is a hybrid, not because ideologies failed, but because reality demanded compromise. Human behavior never disappeared. Greed, ambition, fear, creativity, they simply changed form. Under pure capitalism, innovation thrives until it becomes exploitation. Under pure socialism, equality unites until it becomes repression. Markets concentrate wealth. Planned systems concentrate political power. Different structures, same human tendencies. The real question was never which system is morally superior. It was which system can restrain power, correct mistakes, and adapt. History answered that clearly. The system that adapts survives. Capitalism evolved. Rigid socialism collapsed. Hybrid systems endured. The modern world is built on the scars of that battle. Every regulation, safety net, and market rule carries its DNA. And now, the debate is shifting again. AI disruption, climate risk, demographic collapse, global debt. These challenges don't care about ideology. The future belongs to systems that combine market creativity with public resilience, freedom with stability, innovation with guardrails. History didn't choose capitalism or socialism. It chose whatever prevented collapse. And every generation must renegotiate that balance. Because this debate was never really about systems. It was about who controls power. And power never disappears. It only changes hands. If this changed how you see economics, power, and history, subscribe to the channel. Because history already has the answers. You just need to know where to look.